All right, Lagos, here we are. It is 16 minutes past 5 right here on the Smooth Drive on Smooth 98.1. Your love music, love live station. Ayo and Joy are still your companions, your smooth operators this evening as we journey along. But hey, it's time to hit the brakes because Smooth Health is live, where we get to talk about your health and wellness as well. And today on Smooth Health, we're going to shine the light on a seldom talked about yet very crucial issue, and that is stuttering. Now, just to give sort of a quick background here, about 300,000 children under the age of 5 are affected with stuttering in Nigeria. Now, around a quarter of these children are at risk of developing a chronic stammer in adult life unless they receive speech and language therapy during their preschool years. Now, altogether, approximately 150,000 school-age children and 600,000 adults in Nigeria stutter. So today, we're going to explore the phenomenon, take a look at the whats and whys, as well as what can be done to overcome it. Now, joining us to have this conversation and, of course, break it all down for us is a very special guest in the person of Mrs. Olawumi Ooreofe, aka Mrs. O, the lead therapist and CEO at V Place Consult. Very good evening to you, Mrs. O. It's such a pleasure to have you on Smooth Health this evening.
Hi, everyone. How you doing?
We're doing good.
I'm
We're doing good.
good.
We're just trying. We're trying to try, as they
No, you
say.
guys got to be good. I trust you're good.
You're good. Oh my goodness, indeed we are. Now, talking about stuttering and stammering, and what brought about this conversation is the fact that on Sunday, last Sunday, that International Stuttering Awareness Day was actually celebrated. It is a day that is set aside to shed the spotlight on stuttering and stammering, which actually is something that a lot of people deal with in Nigeria, but for different reasons. It's seen as something of a handicap. People who have to deal with the condition are ridiculed, they are laughed at, they're seen in a different light. They're seen as, oh, look at this one. And you just wonder how these people would be feeling, because for someone to have to deal with that sort of thing every single day of their lives, it can't be an easy thing to do at all, at all, at all. So, Mrs. O, let's begin on this note. How do we define stuttering? And at what age do most children typically start to show the signs?
So I'll start with an example. So before we speak about stuttering, I will just give you an example of me speaking like I stutter, so that you get a view of what we're talking about. So 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 then what's the stuttering? So in speech and language, there's a different kind of disorder, and
Okay.
stuttering is one of it. So
Mm.
it's a speech and language disorder that is characterized by an uneven rate of speech, which can be altered or interrupted by repeated words and syllables and sounds. So that's why I gave you an intro of syllables and sounds. So a lot of times you would have people stutter with prolonged stuttering, block stuttering. So that's where there's a blockage in the flow of speech, and that's stuttering.
Hmm.
And in Nigeria and all over the world, we tend to see a lot of people that stutter, and it's rate of 2 to 5 kids stutter when we do a ratio or in 100. Yeah. And it
Mm.
might be different kind of stuttering. It's
Okay.
so predominant and it's a lot. And you can see it in 2 years from 2 years old to the age
Okay.
of 5.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's the so when we break it down, so it depends on different, we have different types.
Mm.
So okay, let's continue before we go into that.
All right. So before we continue the conversation, just to let all our wonderful listeners out there know that you can be a part of the conversation this evening by sending any questions or thoughts you might have about this discussion via WhatsApp on 0809 440 981 981. You can also join us on YouTube because we're streaming there live. So you
Mm.
can see what's going on in the studio. Yes, yes, you can. You can join us on YouTube at Smooth 981 FM Lagos and catch everything we're doing right there.
Yes. Talking about catching us live. Well, you get to hear everything and see everything firsthand. But talking about stuttering today, well, I want to quickly find out if there are any known genetic or environmental factors that might predispose a child to stuttering or to develop stutter.
So when a child is beginning to speak, that's a developmental stuttering might occur.
Oh, okay.
And it's often like I'm 2 years old. Then I start to speak. Then I have a lot of words in my head. I want to say to my parents, I want to say to everybody, then I start stuttering. And that's developmental stuttering a lot of times would walk and move away with like the flow of speech as it comes. Before they are 3 years old, they would stop. Now I would explain it as we go on.
Okay.
But genetic factor is also involved. That's the family history of stutterers. So I would like to say to you that if like when we're consulting and a father says that, oh, my brother used to stutter, at that point we might say that it is genetic and it is in the family. And it's just an abnormal development in the brain. That's the nervous system. And it goes from generations to generations. So you can say that, oh, because it's an abnormal development in the brain. So you can't just cut off genetics. So you would say, and it's predominant in families too. Have I answered your question? Because I just went on talking and talking and talking.
Yes, you have actually.
You have, and I'm actually really curious because you mentioned that sort of stuttering in children, it's labeled developmental stuttering. Out of
Yeah.
curiosity, what are the other types of stuttering that we have?
Yeah. So, in stuttering, sometimes then we might say that children who stutter have blocked speech, prolonged speech. So at that point, you would know that, oh, this child is stuttering, but there will be the blocked speech is often the severe ones. The developmental ones, it's not severe especially because the child is just starting to speak. So there are two things to it. If the child doesn't have any family background for stuttering, the child will outgrow. Yeah, will just walk away from it. But if it's a prolonged speech, the child would need therapy, especially when you can see that there's a blockage here when they're speaking. So you would see it in their face.
Okay.
You would see it, how they breathe. So you would some people just stutter and you would not even know that, oh, it might be just due to their nervous and they're just impromptu speech might make them stutter. But for some children, let me give an example of when a child has some blocked speech. So they'll go, so the face, you can see
as if they're
it.
choking, kind of.
Yes, as if, so that's the hair. So now let me also say to you that at that point, they need to be taught to breathe with their abdomen, not their shoulders. Yes. Yeah. So a lot of people
I like the
breathe
fact
with
that
their
you're
shoulders.
practicing that.
Yeah. So they don't breathe from here. So when you breathe, from your abdomen, you would reduce the rate of stuttering.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, interesting. Okay,
Yeah.
now that we know that genetics plays an important part in this, now, how do stuttering patterns typically change as a child grows? Can it worsen? Can it get better? Or does it remain consistent? Does it disappear?
Okay. Now, you know that I started with developmental stuttering. It would disappear.
Oh, okay.
But when it comes to repetitions in speech and you don't do anything about it, I would say to you that it can get so bad. Yes. Now, why do some adults that started that they were stuttering before now, they stopped? If when having conversations, they would say to you that they were taught to self-correct.
Okay.
Since they have been, some of them were in therapy, some of them were never in therapy, and some of them were bullied out of it. So yeah, so you would see a parent say, "Don't speak until you cannot stutter." So you don't have a choice.
Okay.
You would have to train yourself. Growing up, you have to train yourself not to. I want to tell my mom something. I want to practice, practice, practice. So at that time, they were trained out of it. Some people were beaten out of stuttering growing up.
Is that
So
even appropriate? I mean,
no,
trying to beat the condition
yeah,
out of a child.
out of a child. Like some parents even think that, oh, he has gone to copy someone. You're just tell him before he went to school. We have cases like that, though, but it's not. It's something. Some things are fun to kids, and that it's not
Oh,
severe. Yeah, some things are
okay.
fun, and they
They
get
just
used
want
to
to
it.
mimic.
Yes, you know, some people speak and they go,
Yeah.
then they go on. And if you ask them where they got that from, it might be
They
from
can't.
maybe a friend. It might be from the parent, it might be from someone. So
Interesting.
yeah, so that's it. I'm trying to
Ah.
like cut I talk a lot. I'm a speech and language therapist, so trust me. I will just go on and on. So just I'm going to cut there.
All right, all right, all right.
Yeah.
Okay, but well, with regards to stuttering, can
Okay.
emotional or psychological factors exacerbate stuttering in children?
Yeah. So let me put this to you first.
Okay.
When children start to grow,
Okay.
there's some emotional factors that can push it up. And there's sometimes they might be able to manage it. Sometimes they might not be able to manage it. Now,
Okay.
now let's talk about emotional factors. When a child who stutter, suddenly in class, the teacher doesn't understand how to handle the child. We just call up the child and say, oh, respond to this question. Now, the child can become emotionally depressed
True.
and the stuttering will increase because the child does not even know how to manage it. The child does not. So look at the way emotions run. Also, some people say that trauma, because trauma, when there's a trauma in the brain, that's
True.
stroke. That's another part of stuttering also. So, we have different
Oh,
areas.
right.
Yes, that's when they start teaching you how to talk after a severe impact in the brain that might be caused by a stroke. So that's when you hear them say that, oh, he was speaking so well before he went into stroke. And now that he's out, he can't get his words out. He's repeating a lot of syllables. Now,
Because of
let's go
brain
back.
damage.
I ran out of the question you asked me. So let's go back to the question you asked me. Yeah. Now, for people that family factor of emotions also can exhibit stuttering. Yeah.
Okay, okay, interesting. All right, we're gonna take a quick pause at this time, Lagos. I mean, I don't really want to, but hey, we have to do what we have to do right now. But on the other side, when we get back in, we'll continue the conversation, talking about stuttering right here on Smooth Health on Smooth 98.1. Mrs. O still with us to break it all down and give us some more insightful information. Don't go anywhere, Lagos. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Okay, quick break.
Are we going on break too?
It's about a minute break. We'll be back before you know it.
So it's not even a long break. I felt it was a very long break. Trust me.
It's not. We can't afford a long break, because of the 30-minute window. So I guess they're actually nice to us by scheduling a short break in between.
Do you
So we'll
guys?
get
Okay, you're back.
in about 20 seconds.
So you guys don't do adverts and breaks?
No, that's what's going on now. It's it's
Uh-huh.
it's a commercial break.
It's a
I
commercial
was
break.
wondering, like, break or what's going
And we're back already.
And we're back.
Okay, you're back.
All right, and we are back. Welcome, welcome, welcome. If you're just joining us, this is Smooth Health on Smooth 98.1, the Smooth Drive with Joy and Ayo, talking about stuttering with regard to International Stuttering Awareness Day, which was celebrated earlier on in the week. And we have with us this evening Mrs. Olawumi Ooreofe, aka Mrs. O. And of course, she is the lead therapist and CEO of V Place Consult, and she's helping us to better understand stuttering, how it develops in children, what causes it, and what can be done to make the kids actually feel a lot more comfortable and help them before it gets to a situation where they grow up into adults and they can't even do anything about it anymore. It becomes a lot more difficult to do anything about it. So if you have any questions concerning this particular issue we're discussing this evening, you can send your messages in via WhatsApp on 0809 4440981. And you can also join us live on YouTube where we're streaming at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. All right. So let's get back into the groove of things. There's a whole lot to talk about on this issue. Probably a whole day might not even be enough to have this conversation. But hey, we have to do what it is that we have to do right now. Now, children who stutter tend to be prone to a lot of bullying or social isolation, unfortunately. Now, how exactly can parents and teachers support these children who stutter and foster a more positive self-image?
I love that question because before I left the shores of Nigeria, I was an advocate when it comes to stammering. And watching a video of kids that stutter, it was like a documentary of how they felt as children that stutter. And even as they spoke, they were stuttering. And you could see that during the interview, they knew the exact sounds that made them stutter.
Oh, okay.
And they were like less than 6 years old, 7 years old, 8 years old. I was like wondering how. So they said something that people would want to complete their words. They were impatient with them. They were bullied. They were laughed at. In class, some of them would be quiet because they do not want to stutter. So, if you don't talk, you don't stutter.
Well, by default, yes.
That's the trick to it. So they say that's the trick worked. So as teachers and parents, I have, let me give you 5 tips and that I tell my clients when they start working with us. I say to them, number 1, your patience is the number 1 role. Number 2, you are a model. Instead of you to say to your child, can you speak slowly, calm down? Mom, you too, calm down. Do not tell your child to calm down. You need to be the one to calm down. Now, how do you calm down your speech? If you are like Mrs. O that speaks so fast and my child is stuttering, I will learn to speak slowly. So when I speak slowly, I'm able to help my child to learn that when they speak slowly, they would learn. Also in class, you could do turn taking. Now, when you do turn taking as teachers, you would say, okay, maybe we have a group of kids. You know that, child B stutters. You would tell the child that I would ask you this question in the next 5 minutes after child A is done.
Ah.
That time, you have given the child to have the words in their head and they can speak. So, but if you go, oh, and you know child B stutters, and you go, oh, tell me the answer to this, they go blank and they
begin to
start to
panic.
stutter. Yes, then that is when there will be repetition and prolongation of syllables. But once the teacher knows that, oh, I would have to give him time, and also they need to have conversation. So what helped one of the kids that was on these documentaries, he said, one day, a counselor came to talk in class about stuttering. That was when everyone in class understood what was wrong with him. So you could also, as school owners, we could get people to come in to talk to children about it so that they do not feel that people who stutter are different. They're just like us. They are not different from us. So let's stop there.
All right. Okay, so we're going to talk treatment options in a second, but there's a message here from Oluwaseun on WhatsApp who says, good evening, Ayo Joy and Mrs. O. For the hereditary ones, how does one manage or eliminate it if possible with the kids when detected? And secondly, what does Mrs. O mean by breathing with the abdomen?
Yeah, I saw that question coming. But normally, I wasn't supposed to teach you this, but I'll just do a quick one. Yeah, because that is why we are charging people. So if I teach you how markets.
We understand fully.
So, but if you discover early intervention is key. Early intervention works like magic. I've worked with kids. I worked with a child recently, and in 3 months, it was done. It was shocking.
Oh.
Yes. Now, because the child was also willing to stop it. So it was ready. He knew it was so young. It was 5. So what I also say is when you notice that your child is stuttering and you can see that this first sign is there's a stress around here, their face, there's a stress around here, there's a stress around their body pattern, there's the way their eyes glitch when they speak. You need to look and seek for help. So when you do seek for that help, you would see that speech therapy will walk you through it. But if you feel that, oh, speech therapy is expensive, as a parent also, you could start with your child yourself. Start with breathing. So when we breathe, we go in, exhale, inhale. So you would see that when you are exhaling and you are inhaling, you will only speak. You would time your speaking to when you are trying to exhale. You do not speak when you're trying to inhale. So with that pattern, it would help you to control your speaking. So you are bringing out the words, hi. So let me give you an example of the word.
As opposed to speaking when you're breathing in. Okay.
Yes.
Now I get that.
So I would like to go out. Now, a lot of time we teach people rhythms.
Okay.
So we teach them beats. That although some people don't like beats because beats makes you slower and become robotic if you're not careful. So they'll say, oh, why would I beat to my speech? But at the beginning of speech therapy, when it comes to controlling stuttering, you might need to beat to the sound, especially when the stuttering is very severe. Because if you don't beat to your words, you might not be able to deliver well when it comes to articulation.
Okay.
Hope I've answered your question?
Yes, I believe so. Oluwaseun, I hope that answers your question, but we need to really get along now because time is really flying by. So let's get into treatment options, what are the most common ones that are available for children who are dealing with this?
So we have direct or indirect. Some people will just go ahead and do some direct options as parents and start to correct their kids themselves and model it. So if you're now, how do you model to your child what you want? So if you have a particular syllable, so you need to find out what words make my child stutter. Example, if it's a child that stutters on T, take, they go take. So there's some exercises you would get to do to reduce that, especially when you notice that sound, a lot of time when children start to make mistakes with their sounds, they run away from it. Yeah. So if you know that, you would make sure that you repeat it every day. Repetition would help your child to understand how to use the sound. So when they get to the T, I tell them to pause.
Oh, okay.
So it's like you're reading. So if we want to say, we're going out together. So, and you know that when you get to your together, you stutter. I would say, so you will say, we are going out together. At that time, there's a long pause. But because a lot of people might not notice, but that's how to self-correct.
Interesting.
Yeah, some people call us that we are going for interviews and we help them before they go for the interviews. So you would not know that they stutter because they've been taught to do to play through some techniques. That's when adults stutter. So when people say, no, adults can't stop stuttering, I just smile. That's not true. Anybody can stop stuttering with the right intervention.
It takes effort.
No effort, consistency. Stand in front of the mirror, repeat the words, do some tongue twisters, and that is it.
Okay, but I really want to ask, excuse me, with regards to speech therapy, how does it differ from that of a child to that of an adult? What's the difference?
With a child, because the child is just developing, we will work on some sounds and articulations. With adults will be working with a lot of phrases and sentences that bring together their words and that it disturbs them from speaking correctly. So the techniques you will use for a child will be so different from the techniques of an adult.
Right.
And if you're using indirect techniques, you would tailor it to the need of that child. And now, when you are tailoring the need, when you are counting readings, everybody's got a different reading. So you cannot be so sure that, we're using this reading for this person and we're going to use it for the next person. It might not work.
It's different for different people.
It's different. And it's different in children and adults, because adults are so severely impaired because they've gone through it all their life. Yes. That's why it's easier when you're correcting a child and working through corrections in speech and language when they stutter. It's easier. I can say that for sure, because a child is developing. We have critical age and sensitive age. So the child, an adult, it's critical already.
Sure.
Yeah, but a sensitive time for children is when they are developing their speech and language to start speaking and putting words together.
Right. Okie dokes, man, Mrs. O, it has been, I've just been here nodding my head, looking like, okay, I never knew. But time has absolutely flown by. We should do a part 2 of this because, like I said, we can talk about this for a whole day and probably not get through everything.
I know, right? I know.
Yeah, but before we round up the conversation this evening, now for those who are listening out there, and probably try to find a way to maybe help their children or deal with the situation. Do you know of any books or any resources that you could recommend, even for the parents to at least help them to help the kids to better handle the situation?
So there's a book, Santa Stutters too. Okay, it's a very nice book. You could actually pick it up and just Santa Claus Stuttering. Yeah,
Huh.
so it's actually a very nice book. So if anybody would like to like pick it up, and Christmas is coming, so you can read it to your child. So you can now that Santa Stutters too makes you understand that anybody can stutter.
Right,
That
right, right.
book, yeah. So and that book is connected.
Okay.
Okay,
Also, there's a
okay.
book. It's written by Brandon. I'm trying to remember. Brandon can speak. I can't remember right now, but that book also talks about the intricacies of when someone stutters.
Okay.
If I can, I'm sure that we can actually. How do we get to your listeners so that I can like give them more books? But I know that I am looking
Okay,
that
okay.
also.
Mrs. O, this is so we can do. You can just
Okay.
just mention your social media handles, and the listeners can actually reach out to you via the social media handles, and any questions they might have concerning the books or any other
So we'll
thing as
go
well.
from there.
Okay, so we are at the V Space Consult at the V Space Consult on IG, and my personal page is at Urueye. So you can just send a message to me, and
How do you
we
spell
can
the
continue.
Urueye?
And that's Oore, then Jay.
Okay,
Good. I remember the book.
Oorejay.
Brandon speaks up. Good. I remember.
Okay,
And I talk like a river.
Oh, okay.
Those
okay.
three books. Yes.
We actually
All
So,
right,
but
all
you
right.
can, yeah. So you can like just check up online. It's on Amazon, so
just
you could read up.
copy.
All
All
right,
right. Thank
fantastic,
you
man. It
so
has
much.
been such a great conversation this evening. We've been talking with Mrs. Olawumi Ooreofe, aka Mrs. O, the lead therapist and CEO of V-Place Consult. It's been such a pleasure having you. Thank you so much for taking out the time to be with us this evening. It's much appreciated.
You're welcome. Do have a
Or,
wonderful evening. Bye.
and you too, and you too.
And
Thanks
you
so much.
too.
All right, Lagos, we draw the curtains right here on Smooth Health on Smooth 98.1. It's been quite a great conversation. And yeah, for anyone out there who would love to learn more, you can just check her out on social media. And of course, she'll do her best to answer any questions that you might have. Meanwhile, the Smooth Drive will continue with Joy and I. More amazing music to come this evening and total football at 7 o'clock. Lagos, don't go anywhere. The more you know.
Okay.
Life one day dragged me.
Dun, dun, dun.